Welcome back to the Full of Ourselves podcast. And this is the last in this first season of podcasts from myself and Anna. And we hope that you've loved listening to these as much as we've loved recording them. We're already excited to get stuck into recording the next season for you. Lots and lots of ideas. And just to say as well, if you've enjoyed this season of talks and discussions, and maybe they've helped you in some ways or given you some ideas, or if you have ideas for themes you'd love for us to discuss, then do let us know. That would be so deeply appreciated. So we thought we would finish this first season with a very apt theme or topic for today, and that is the art of bragging. The art of bragging. And we're going to look at this as we are doing throughout the series, in the context of why this is important for you as a businesswoman, wherever stage you are, whether you're still in your employee job and you're just thinking about getting going, whether you've just started in your business or whether you're a little while in yet, there is room for you to brag at no matter what stage that you are. And already you might be like, oh, okay, I've actually just tapped to listen to this because I'm kind of intrigued and it's making me feel a little bit like twitchy and uncomfortable. And, oh, I don't know about what they're going to say about bragging. Are they allowed to talk about that? And, oh, my goodness. So let's begin with, what does it mean? What does bragging mean?
Mm,
Mm.
I think, and I think this is a good question because I do think actually bragging might be a bit of a British term. I'm not sure if everyone will
Ooh, okay.
understand what we mean
Hmm,
by bragging.
good
And
point.
I guess bragging is about, in some ways, the word bragging is more about boasting, being
Mm.
boastful, about sharing and saying, "Oh, I'm amazing, and I've done this and I've done that." And we've used the term kind of tongue in cheek, but also not, because I think in some ways most women are the complete opposite of this. And even if they get halfway to bragging, it's a good it's a good thing.
Okay. The
Let's get
demi
halfway to
bragger.
bragging. The demi bragger, I love. Um, I think the issue, I suppose, with bragging is that it's seen um, as immodest. It's
Mm,
it's it's putting it out there. And we don't brag if we've kind of got a bit of modesty, or sometimes it's false modesty. We might be like, "Oh yes, I'm amazing,
mm,
but I don't have to talk about it," kind of
mm,
kind of
mm.
side to things, you know. But what do you think? Is there a good? You're the wordsmith. Is there a good definition? Do you think of bragging?
I think it's very much goes with what we've called this podcast. It's the ability to really stand in the fullness of ourself and show up as that, and uh, to speak from that place and not have to justify it or diminish it. It's funny because I was just thinking about my sister and I we had a great trip to New York back in 2017 now, which just feels crazy. Or was it 2018? Yeah, maybe 2018. And we'd never been before. And it was very exciting. And we were struck by, like, pretty much the very first, we'd only been there like 2 hours, and we went out in the Lower East Side. We went to some jam night thing. And the people that we were talking to, all sorts of creators and musicians, it blew our minds because they were, I don't know if I think it is quite an American thing. I think we see it quite a lot in the press as well, as opposed to the UK being British. But there seemed to be this absolute and utter ease to brag or to boast about who they were, what their achievements were, how amazing they were at it. I mean, me and my sister were like, we just had our mouths hung open listening to all these people going, oh my God. And in a way, it was a breath of fresh air, especially coming from a country where that's not the done thing, the very kind of tight upper lip, kind of little bit of repressedness here. We don't want to, you know, put anyone particularly on a pedestal here. We'll all stay nice and, like you say, kind of modest in our accomplishments and so on. Whereas, suddenly we were surrounded by people who were almost like over the top, going how fantastic they were and what they did. It was, there was something about, wow, they're owning the space of who they are and letting people know about it just like that. It was quite something. So I think you're right in bringing that difference of definition, from bragging to the boaster, what that might mean, for you. But I do think, as a British woman, this is not something that you tend to see, you know, even thinking about, like, coaches or entrepreneurs or people, a bit more kind of celebrity wise, that are American. Come out with their glossy hair and the shiny veneers, and everything is so magnified. It's almost a magnification, isn't it, of certain
Mhm,
parts of
mhm.
us that we don't tend to speak about.
And I think we need to acknowledge that if we're in business, we need to be the ones who are saying how we're doing and
Yeah.
what we're doing and all of that. We love to ask our customers and clients for reviews and testimonials and what they call social proof. But actually, we need to be able to stand in who we are, what we do, how great we are at what we do as
Mm,
well. And we have to do that because that is part of what promotion and marketing a business is all about. And
yeah.
really, our marketing message in a lot of ways, whatever we're talking about or selling or whatever, we need to be able to and comfortable with sharing our wins and our successes.
Yeah, absolutely. And in lots of ways, it's about how much do we believe in who we are, believe in what we stand for, believe in
Yeah.
the talk that we're walking, or the walk that we're talking, one or the other, believe in what our product is, believe in our ideas if we're not even, like, got started yet, believe in the legacy that we're creating, the impact it's having on others, the bigger vision, all of this. Like, isn't that famous quote, isn't there? It's a Marion Williamson quote about, it's not our darkness we're most afraid of, it's our light. And there's a
Mm,
lot of truth
yeah.
to that, I think. And I think this is the thing, is that we're very comfortable being self-depreciating, and we're very comfortable talking about all the things that we're not good at or that we get wrong. Um, so why can't we just switch that around and instead start to, it's almost a bit like a comfort, isn't it? If you're moaning about stuff or talking about all the crap, or there's a bit of a comfort in that. You can kind of do that with your girlfriends, or have a moan with whatever. And yeah, it keeps you safe in a weird way. Whereas actually,
I think
if you
so.
start to change
Mm.
that, then there is a little bit of a, like, ooh, I'm going against the grain of what we're meant to be, how we're meant to be. Mm.
I think that's exactly it, isn't it? With the self-depreciating and oh this, that, and the other, I think that is easy in a lot of ways, and it's easy for people to connect with a little bit when we're talking about to friends and things. But if we are feeling like we're boastful or bragging or something like that, we can feel at risk of being cut down. The
Oh
whole
yeah.
tall poppy syndrome of
Mm.
if you get to a certain level, especially weirdly in the UK, and I know it's famous around the world, the tabloids in the UK, they're all about trying to pull people down. And sometimes
Yeah.
they should do, that's their job. But also, a lot of the times it's just for the sake of it, it's just to sell papers. And it's that focus, I think. Maybe it's a little bit around our brains and that negative focus that the brain always has around trying to keep us safe.
Yeah.
And the fact is that, we can have 10 lovely comments on our socials, and we'll focus on the one that's not as nice, the constructive feedback in inverted commas. And that's what we're going to focus on. And therefore, perhaps that's why we share that stuff, and we're more comfortable with sharing that than we are with the positives and the celebrations.
100% this. I'm just thinking about from my own experience. writing an art, posting an article just the other week actually, which was a little bit more controversial, and having the comments and the responses to that, and yeah, there was all sorts of a mix of things, including intelligent discussions, lots of, people going, thank you for voicing this and for speaking something. But the ones that really stayed with me were the ones that really did not like where I was coming from and what I was saying. And it is, isn't it? The critics get 100 reviews on your show. You're going to focus on the one negative one as opposed to the 99 positive ones. We're made in a very, very strange way. And I think it's very
Mhm.
true, like you're saying, we will go to that part that feels familiar, even if it's not serving us or helping us in the long term in becoming, who we are. One of the things that I think is a really good way to explore this for yourself. And I've been doing this intentionally and also kind of just pointing it out when I'm with friends, with people. It's, how do you receive a compliment? This can show
Mhm.
us, are we deflecting, going to that depreciation, or do we go into the opposite and receive? I think this is really important, actually. Most of us, really. Oh, your hair looks nice. Oh no, I've not washed it today, but or oh, I love your dress. Oh yeah, this I got this for £5 from that shop. It was so quick to bat away these things already. We can't even hold that somebody is seeing in us or appreciating about us in the first place. And I think that's a really good practice. If you're listening to this and going, well, how do I shift this? It's just to start to notice how you respond or react to people giving you compliments. And if you start to go into that old rote way of like, oh yeah, 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 I'm just going to flippantly kind of bat this away, can you instead just let it in and go, thank you? Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, my hair's absolutely
Mhm.
gorgeous. Yeah, this dress rocks. I look good in it, don't I? You just play with that. Can be a good way to start to build that as a little bit of a muscle, actually.
I had an interesting way of thinking about compliments, and it's like the person that's like it's like the person is giving you flowers, and you can decide whether you water them or not. And I
Oh, I
think
love that.
when we saying, oh no, 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 it's almost like we're giving back the flowers. We're saying no, I can't accept that. But actually, if I love that way of thinking about it, because
Mm,
so when somebody is giving a compliment, they're doing that because they want to. That's
mm.
what they want to do. That's their choice. And I think we should honor that and accept it for the gift that it is. And we need to start watering it. I think
I
this is
love
such a
that.
great place to start for those who really do struggle with this area of things.
Oh, I absolutely love that. And it goes, like if we're looking at this in the context of business, people saying thank you. They've had a service from you, or they've had a meeting with you, or you've coached them, or you've, whatever it is, and you get that thank you. Take a moment to really let that, let it in. I think it's what you're saying, isn't it? You're like kind of receive those flowers. I love that. I'm going to take that from now on. That's absolutely wonderful. Someone gives you like feedback, like really positive feedback. We might be very quick to go, brilliant. And I'm talking about myself here as well. Like, right, let me get Canva
Mhm,
on, let
mhm.
me make that into a pretty testimonial post, and it can go on my website or it can go on social media. Actually, do you take a moment to really feel that? Because someone is seeing, it's the being seen in who we are, what we're doing, what we have to offer. And if we don't let ourselves receive it, then I think we're going to be hungry. It kind of, these things fill us. These things make us full of ourselves, just genuinely, from us just being generally who we are and doing what we're doing. And yeah, it's a funny, yeah, it's a funny thing. I really believe in and I've started to do this a lot more, and I talk to clients about doing this, is to every now and then just to pause and to celebrate what you've achieved
Mhm.
and accomplished so far. Yeah, because it's so easy, isn't it? In this world of everything online and the busyness of that and the competitiveness, to feel that we are not where we're meant to be, that we're not doing as well as so and so. It's not happening fast enough, not growing as, whatever. I'm not getting as much, I don't know, engagement, blah, 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 blah. And that can be the main kind of focus. And then there's always this feeling then that, this keep going, more, 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 be productive endlessly, as if at some point we're going to get to this place and that's it. And I'm a big believer of kind of pausing every now and then. You might want to do this weekly. You might want to do it every month, have a sit down, make it a little bit of a ritual, get a nice cup of tea, light a candle, buy yourself some flowers. That could be a really great way to remind yourself of this that Anna was talking about. And really sit down and go over all the things that you've achieved and accomplished, and particularly the small things, particularly someone complimented my website, you know, wonderful. Somebody, I had like three sales of this thing in one day. Wonderful. All the little things to really receive and to say thank you to those things. It can help us to
Mm.
build that
I think I
ability.
mentioned before. Mm.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned before, but I'll mention it again because I think it's worth it. But I've got this notebook, which is my Everything Works Out for Me notebook, where I write things down, even the tiniest little things. And what it's done is it's helped me focus on those positives, and it's helped me look at those positives. And I think if you are somebody who believes in manifestation and the universe is there to support us, I think when we push back a compliment, or we're not able to stand in who we are and our worth, we're kind of telling the universe we're not really ready yet. And
Totally.
I think we're setting ourselves up for that. I heard one thing, and I thought this was quite interesting, that I've always kept with me, and that is, when you there's money, like if you see a coin on the street or something, you should always pick it up, because
Mm,
it's the universe's way of kind of sharing money with you. And if you don't pick it up, then you're not taking that worth. And sometimes I'll see one and I don't pick it up, but I'll say, "Oh, thank you for this opportunity," or just
mm.
in my mind. And I
Yes.
think it's all around that same energy of feeling like you have worth. Because let me just be very clear that everybody listening to this has worth. We
Mm,
want to know all about you and what you do and how you do it, and would love you to contact us and share about who you are and what your businesses are and all of
yeah.
that. And I think that is part of it for me, because we talk about it. We've said the art of bragging, and it's kind of a little bit of a flippant title and things like that, just to make it a little bit fun. But this is a serious thing. We
Mm,
need to be able to stand in our own worth and share who we are
mm,
unapologetically.
Oh, 100%. I couldn't agree with you more there. It's okay, yeah. I just forgotten what I was about to respond to something you were going to say there. And it just oh
Oh,
yeah, that's right.
sorry.
That's what I was going to say. I feel like this is very no,
Good.
no, no. But it was great. It pinged something, and then my menopause brain went no. But it's come back. It's for me. This is all about visibility, and this is such
Hmm.
an
Hmm.
such an edge.
Absolutely.
It's the willingness to be. We could have the best business in the world, the best ideas, the best products, services in the whole wide world. Yet, if we are not willing to stand there, and it's there's something very exposing. You can hide behind that, oh yeah, this whole thing, or oh yeah, well this, oh, all this kind of stuff. But actually go, yeah, thank you, yeah, it is, or yes, I am, or yes,
Yeah.
it's very exposing. People will see you. And then what happens then? We're going to be judged. Now, if you are somebody who is putting yourself out into the world, you are setting up your business, you are walking that path, you have to get at least, you don't have to be best friends with, but you have to be willing to sit down at a table, maybe have a gin or whiskey together or something with other people's opinions. Because as soon as you put yourself out there into the world, that's what's going to happen. And we cannot control that. And I think part of not actually bragging or boasting about who we are and what we're doing is a little bit of self control over, well, if I don't do that, then I can't be judged. People can't have an opinion, and people we all love having an opinion. And again, especially in this day and age, sadly and insidiously, very anonymously hiding behind your smartphone, you can have all sorts of
Hmm.
opinions without, really thinking about the other person at the end of it being a real human being. So it's that edgy exposure, which is part of being visible when we go, this is me. This is what I've achieved. This is what I offer. I am damn good at this. This is who I am. Here I am. It's
Oh,
it's true, isn't it?
yeah,
Mm.
definitely. And it reminds me of something that someone I know says, Danny Wallace. She says, closed mouths don't get fed. Closed mouths don't get fed. And I think that is so true. We now are our own, we have our own business. If we're a solopreneur, we may not have a marketing team behind us to do all of this for us. Not yet anyway, it's coming.
Mm.
Um, so we need to be willing to step out there and share what we do. In the knowledge that unfortunately there are trolls, there are people out there who, all they want to do is just push people down. But what we
Mm.
can't do is be cowed by that and stop doing and stop being who we are and stop doing what we do and stop sharing what we do, because we have an impact. Whether you've got a product based business or a service based
Yeah.
business, you are making an impact on other people. Those are the people we need to focus on, not on the
Yeah.
trolls under the bridge who are
Yeah.
hiding and who are just they're doing it for that
Don't
purpose.
feed
So
the trolls, as I've said
don't feed the
before.
trolls.
And did a little video about ages ago.
That's so good.
Um, But this is all very much about voice, you see. There's a voice aspect to
Yeah.
this. And that voice, yes, it could be like you speaking maybe at a panel or a conference or being invited to be a speaker on stage or around a boardroom. It's about having your voice and being clear with your voice and standing in your authority with that voice. But you can also see the voice as in what we put out, such as things like our branding or marketing. How do you
Hmm.
find that that line between boasting and bragging and being very clear and really in belief about what you're doing, not letting it like kind of not letting it fall necessarily into arrogance, which is a bit like I'm better than you. But also things like, like how do you tell people who you are, what you have to offer? Something like, I don't know, your about page or whatever on your website, or when you're doing kind of marketing, like, yeah. Do you have any tips or any thoughts on that? Because that's a really big place, isn't it, for us to have
Yes,
the
I do.
opportunity to boast or to brag. Mm.
Yeah, I think, well, our about page is one of our most viewed pages on our website. So it is important to get that right and to get the balance right on there. I think the thing to remember about an about page is it's about how you can help that person. So, why is your product the right thing for that person? Why have you developed this product? Or why is your service, your coaching, whatever it might be, the right fit for that person? So, while it's about you,
Mm.
it is also more about them. It's about them feeling confident that once they've read about you and your experience and your qualifications and all of the things, and maybe some testimonials and everything that you have on there, that they're like, yep, this is the person who is going to work, I can work with, and who I'm really excited to work with or to buy from.
Mm.
And I think when we put that focus more on how can I serve, or how am I the right person for you,
Yeah.
I think it's just a small tweak in how we're doing it. It's not just me going, I am great, you should listen to me. But it's more about saying, like, here is where I'm coming from. This is why I found out about the good girl personality and all the research that I did and my psychology background and all of that stuff. This is why I'm the right person. If that's your personality type, then I am the right person to coach you.
Yeah.
Full
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah.
And just standing in that and owning that.
Yeah. I love that, isn't it? That reminder that, if you're in business for a reason, because you have something that's going to impact other people's lives, and to to not forget that. I think that's when it can fall into just the arrogance. It becomes all me, 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 me. It's about me, as opposed to, this is about you. I'm just the channel, and what I'm bringing, that's the right fit in order to be able to provide this um, for you. And I think there's something as well about the more that we start to do this, it can be incredibly liberating. It can almost feel like a relief of like, oh my God, I can stop having to hold myself in. I can stop having to swallow down my words. I can stop having to pretend to be who I'm not in order to what we think is fitting in. And in fact, in a weird way, I think we don't necessarily kind of boast or brag because we want to fit in. We want to stay in that familiar groups, I was talking about of, we can have a moan or whatever, where we've got it a little bit wrong, I think. I think instead of fitting in, I think it's more about belonging. I mean, we'll never belong anywhere more than we belong to ourselves, and I think when we don't do that, when we don't speak from that place of that full of ourself, I belong to myself, then I think we betray ourselves. We betray the truth of ourselves. We ignore the brilliance of who we are. And you can think about, well, what is this telling future generations? If we're not able to stand in that brilliance and go,
Hmm.
look at me, look at what I've achieved, look at what I'm celebrating. Maybe I've made shitloads of money this year. Maybe I've just bought a private jet. Maybe I've I don't know, paid off my mum's loans or whatever it might be. It's You're actually in celebration. Why not celebrate these big things that are happening? Because you've been doing something really good in the world. It feels almost like, oh no, if you don't speak about, I'll speak about it. Why? We have to punish ourselves because we've done well in our business. It's made really great, you know, we've done really well financially, or we've had a big impact, or we're working or collaborating with this person or this brand. And why can't we shout that out and go, look at what I've done, look at what I've achieved? Because then you're telling the next generation of women coming up that, oh, this is just normal.
Hmm.
This is possible and this is absolutely normal. Now you go smash it and take it to a whole other level. Let's see what happens after that. We're not used to doing that, are we? Again, I think it's one of those things. Maybe men are better at being able to boast about their accomplishments and achievements and what they can do. And for us as women, it's still quite a new uh, a new era of actually being more comfortable and owning that. Mm.
Yeah, certainly for the good girl personalities, when you say to do it for themselves, they don't necessarily take that. Obviously, people are different, but if you say, "Well, what about being a role model for your daughters, or for your nieces, or for those people around you, or for those people
Yeah.
coming up?" and that can kind of shift how we feel about it, and then it's not so much about me and I'm bragging and I'm boasting and I'm all of those negative connotations around it, but it's actually, like you're saying, it's around just standing in who we are, what we do, how we can help. um
Yeah.
and there's no benefit in being able to help people and them just not knowing about it.
It's
There's
selfish.
no
You can
benefit
say it's
to that.
selfish. And one of the ways, if you're thinking,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, how do I do this? And you talked about the about page. I don't know how to write, and it's making me feel cringy. And one of the ways that I would, offer as a little kind of coaching thing that you might want to play with is to imagine that, I don't know, that it's your, depending how old you are, your 60th, 70th, your 90th, let's go 90th birthday, or 100th birthday. Let's go really out there. And there's this big celebration of you. I mean, I personally, I love having birthday parties. I've shifted in myself over the last 10 years. I'm in my early 50s now, of avoiding birthdays to suddenly turning that around and going, oh, this is actually, I feel this is very relatable in what we're talking about. Now think about it,
Hmm.
is to going, yeah, I want to be celebrated, but also giving the people that love and care about me a chance to celebrate me too. Like, because they love me and
Yeah.
care about me and they're friends and people. always respond really beautifully to that. It's not just, oh, it's just me. It's like, actually, maybe people want to celebrate you. You ever thought about that? So, in the context of that thinking, if you imagine it's your big, huge birthday, and then people are giving speeches about you. So maybe there's somebody you admire. Maybe it's a businesswoman, maybe it's somebody in the field that you're in, or just an icon that you really kind of love the way that they've lived their life. Can you imagine that they stood up and they gave a speech about you? And it's all about what you've achieved in your life. So it's kind of looking back on your whole life. So there might be a lot of things that you'd like to step into, or you're not sure, or has happened already, but you've kind of, yeah, that all, I won a Nobel Prize or, something. But this person is there going, at the age of 20, they did this. At the age of 35, you were the first person, blah, blah, blah. At the age of 50, you introduced, blah, blah. You had an impact on this person and that person, so and so changed their life because of this. You did. Can you go for this? It's such an extraordinary thing to do, to just remove yourself slightly and imagine someone is talking about you in this celebratory way, about all the things that you've done, all of the accomplishments and things you've achieved. And they're doing so with the most deepest love, filled in a room with people who are there to hear and receive that as well, including yourself. And it could be quite emotional, let yourself feel that if
Yeah.
if that comes up for you. Mm.
I love that exercise because I feel like it really does. It also helps us think about, like, from a different perspective, what do we want to achieve over these next years that we have,
Absolutely.
and how do we want to be remembered? And that is a really, really important thing. What, not so much remembered, because we don't necessarily want to think about the end of our lives, but how do we want to be thought of? Like, what do I want somebody, when they think of me, to think of in their mind? What and how can I, in some ways, how can I control that narrative? Because
What's
I
the
want to
legacy?
share what I
What's
can
my
do
legacy?
with the world. Yeah, what's that legacy? What is it that people are like, yeah, that's a no-brainer, I'm going to work with Anna, or that's a no-brainer, I'm going to work with Heidi.
Mm,
What is it that we want? We'll get to that maybe. What is it that we
yeah.
want you to think about in terms of that? And
Yeah.
another exercise, again, I'm pretty sure I've talked about this on the podcast before, but I'll mention it again because I think it's a really good one that I love, and that is the ta-da list. Ta-da
Ta-da!
list. Not the to-do list, because I don't love those. The to-da list, and that I have at the back of my journal. I love my journaling. But at the back of my journal, I leave some pages, and for achievements and things that have happened, big things, small things. I'll put the date, and then just put, like, what are those achievements. And when I'm moving on to a new journal, I'll go back and I'll reflect on them. Or if I'm feeling a little bit low and I'm like, I just need a little bit of a boost, I'll go
Yeah.
back and look at it and go, because a lot of times when you're in that negative frame of mind, you don't remember those achievements. They're just not even in your mind, because your mind, that's not what your mind is doing for you at that moment. And so this is around just, saving those reviews, saving those emails where somebody has praised you, those comments.
Mm,
We need to outweigh our negativity part of our brain by
100%.
adding more positivity, and just noting those things for ourselves, but also sharing them with others too.
This is it. I think the sharing of it is really important as well. Like, first of all,
Yeah.
being able to acknowledge is the first step, and then sharing. Um, and there's another couple of tools as well to give you. Again, just kind of starting small on this, because this is, you know, like Anna's saying, this isn't just about what we have already accomplished and achieved. It's also about how do we clear that path in order to be able to accomplish and achieve the things that maybe we secretly really want, but feel like, who am I, to be the one to do this? I don't know if I'm good enough to do this, or have I got enough this, or, and so there's two things here. One is changing I can't to I can. And you don't have to believe what you're saying,
Mhm.
like going, oh, I can't say yes to that opportunity to lead that session on blah 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 blah. Whatever is your passion, whatever you're good at. That maybe someone else is seeing very obviously you're good at this, but you're going, I can't. Changing it to I can lead a session on this, and just seeing what that feels like. I can get up there even if I'm feeling really scared. I can get myself prepared enough so that I have everything as a fallback if I do feel like, oh, my mind's gone blank. So I've got stuff there. I can ask for so and so to sit in this position in the room because I really trust them and they get me. So if I feel wobbly, I can look at them and they can give me a thumbs up. It's like it's changing that. And then the other thing, which I love, and I do this one, is to go, what if? So this opens up into the curiosity potential field of everything. What if I did write that book about this amazing thing that happened or my amazing method? We're both writing books about our amazing methods right now, just taking a moment to boast about that and enjoy that. But what if
Yep.
I wrote that book about this amazing thing? And then what if on the back of that, someone invited me to this conference in San Francisco. And what if I got these incredible clients? And what if that led to being asked to lead an annual retreat in Bali with other amazing people on the things that I do? And then what if that led to what if we're playing if our minds can be used to dwell on the bloody negative and all the ways that, oh no, I can't, no, then
Hmm.
why not play with using our mind to out in these different realms. Yeah, why not? And see what happens to your energy,
I
what you
absolutely
feel
love that.
like. Mm. And it's the what if is so because it's not necessarily going, this is definitely going to happen. It's just playing with what if I went for that job? What if I quit this because I've been feeling it for months and I've maybe got some savings behind me and I've got this idea, my husband's really supportive, or, like, what if? Ooh. And then watching what happens to your energy and the intuition that we've talked about before of like, well, what if it all goes tits up, but I learned something and I laugh about it, but I know that I've tried it anyway, and that's better than never having tried it and being a bit like, oh, I'll just stay small here because actually, just one more thing
I
here,
love
it's just
that.
going off on one here.
Mm. Yeah.
I think part
No,
of
I
this as
love
well
it.
is the ability to, and this might sound really strange, and I haven't really thought about this until this moment, it's also ability to boast about the things that didn't work and to brag about the things that you
Mm.
failed at, because that's where we learn humility. That's where we teach and inspire others. That's where we grow and learn. So there's maybe room to be the boaster about all of these things. I don't know.
I think all of the hero stories have always got things that go wrong. There's always challenges. I mean, there's no interest in I decided I was going to do it and then I did it and hurrah, that's
Yeah.
not a story.
Hurrah!
That's just, I mean, as lovely as that would be, like I know we would all love that as an actual story, but actually that's not how life works. And when we really come down to it, when you think about all that you have achieved in your life so far, all that you have learned, all that you've experienced, all the hard won lessons, all the lovely one lessons as well,
Mm.
would you want to be able to skip all of that to be where you are right now? Or would you want somebody else who is in the same kind of path to be able to skip all of that and just be where you are right now? I, I don't think we would. I
I don't think
really
we
don't think
can.
we would
We
because
wouldn't
I
be
think
where we
it's
are
part
now
of
without
who we
that.
are.
Yeah.
No, exactly. And I think that's really an important one. And one thing we were talking about before, I loved, was interesting. I worked for probably a decade with, particularly with jewelers, so people who were selling products. And what was very interesting is a lot of times people would say, I am really great at selling someone else's jewelry. If I'm at a craft fair,
Mm.
or if I'm at if I'm doing a stall or something like that, when I'm selling someone else's jewelry, I can really do that. But when it comes to selling my own, I really struggle with that. And I think it's part of this whole story, really, isn't it? Around being able to stand in our worth and say, I made that, or, I did that. Um, and and be able to speak about that without feeling like we have to kind of pull back and judge ourselves and say, well, it's not quite perfect, or it's not quite,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? It's all of the things that we notice and that we are negative that we want to then somehow like bring out and tell everyone about. But actually, we need to stand in that worth that we have and that
Do
we
you know
see
it's
in other
making me
people.
Do you know what it's making me think about? I don't know if well, you might remember because a similar age of back in the day of online dating when it was quite new, there was it Sarah Beanie or somebody set up my single best friend? I think I'm probably getting all those wrong. It was one of the early dating sites. And what you did is you wrote your mate's profile. So you wouldn't write it, your mate would write it. And obviously they'd just like, big you up to the max and how amazing you are and all that gorgeous thing. I thought that was such a great idea. And maybe there's a need for some kind of, it's got my generator brain going here. Maybe we need for some kind of
Yeah.
site or app or something or other where it's, as businesswomen, it's we write the blurb about somebody's and what they're offering from being a client or a really good, a collaborator or somebody, that's worked with you, that you don't have to do that yourself. That could really be something now, couldn't it? You know? It's also
I
making me
love
think
that. I
about,
love that because it would.
yeah.
Mm.
No, I was just going to say, it also makes me think about, I've seen this a few times over the years, and I've kind of thought about doing this myself. Maybe I should, because it scares me. So that's always a, of when somebody's maybe written on Facebook or whatever, like, you know, what kind of coach do you think I am? Or what do you say are my, like, the amazing qualities that I bring? And oh, it's so beautiful what people write. So, if you're brave enough, even if you're not brave enough, but feeling like you want to just push at that edge a little bit, then put that out there. Maybe just send it on WhatsApp to your close friends if you don't want to put it out into, on a bigger platform. And imagine how gorgeous that would be if we did that like every month, just as a kind of reminder, because we all forget. We need the reminders of who we are. We forget it over and over again. Yeah. Mm.
That's such a great. We've got so many different tools
I know. I want to
today
listen
to
to the
share
chat
because I think.
myself.
I know. I think we're at different. People are at different levels. So if this is kind of like completely out there, I think there have been some things like the to-do list, and there are a few more like beginnery entry level, let's
Yeah.
say, things that you could
Receive
do and
compliments.
just get yourself
Yeah.
started, and you can kind of move on from there. One of the things we were talking about last week that I absolutely loved and I really wanted to bring up in this
Oh, yeah.
episode is around having an alter ego. And
Mm.
many like celebrities, people who are performers are actually quite introverted, even maybe shy.
Mm.
And but you wouldn't necessarily know it because when they're on stage, maybe they're playing a part, they're playing a persona, maybe they are acting as another character and they find that easier than being themselves. That is sometimes the case. But a lot of times people who are supposedly themselves, it's still a character, it's still almost an alter ego. And we were talking about it in the context of that. It's like how can you step into that a little bit more? How can you put aside that modest side and that thing, and what
Mm.
part of you could step forward in this moment to be the one who's bragging? I
Yes.
loved it for me to call it my diva.
Yes.
Like the diva is going to step out in their fake fur, not real fur,
Mm.
it's veggie, but
Mm.
fake fur, big sunnies, like
Mhm.
amazing makeup, just wandering about like I own the place.
Yeah.
And it's just playing with that idea. I just it really caught my imagination, and it might catch other people's imaginations. Do you want to say a little bit more about, because you brought this one up to me, like
Yeah.
where did
Yeah.
this come from for you?
Yeah. Well, it's yeah, a few things with this. I just want to say a friend of mine who's also a coach. She, whenever she shows up for her programs or her lives, she channels Miss Piggy. Miss Piggy is her inner, you can call it the inner diva. It's got a similar energy, the one who can get up there. For you, it might be you want to channel Beyonce. What would Beyonce say right now? How would Beyonce act? You might want to think about somebody who you look up to in the way that they present themselves, that maybe who embodies this, we say boast or bragging, but just this full of themselves in their craft, their art, their business that you really admire, their confidence in that. You might go, okay, I'm going to channel, my inner Steve Jobs. What would Steve Jobs do right now? I mean, he'd probably go and hide away in a very white room or something or other, who knows? But, it's finding that. Um, for me, I love to work with these. I see as all as we're all shapeshifters. And when we
Mm,
realize
love
this and
that.
understand this, then we can go, okay, so that means that we're not fixed. We can always move into different characters at different times that's needed, knowing that they're not who we are. The problem, I mean, this is a whole big field, is problem we get fixed an idea of who we are, and that's we're living our life through that, and that can limit things, and it's not true. When we start to free ourselves, the freedom comes with going, okay, I can shift into this character right now. And that might be when you're showing up for your business. Still you, you're not pretending that you're fully them. You're just
Mhm.
using the energy of that and what they'd say and what they do to help you. Um, excuse me. And even my business, The Creative Genius, that's quite like, I call myself the creative genius. You can be like, oh, excuse you. But I'm like, do you know what? Why not step in that? We all have a genius. It might be very quiet and very ordinary and very small, but it's still our genius. Some people's, if you call Michelangelo, you might have a very different genius. Um, but it's the willingness to go, yeah, I'm going to play with that and let's just see what happens. Because you're talking about energetics before. Absolutely. As soon as we kind of go, I want to play with this, I'm going to try it on. You'll probably start to feel it in your body. When you're talking about the diva, I could see you were starting to embody her. You can imagine what she was
Yeah.
wearing. This is a great thing to do. You might make up a character's name. It might not be someone
Hmm.
particularly, but imagine what they're wearing. Go about, dress up, take half a day and play with that. Walk around your town or your city or go for a walk in the countryside. Maybe look in your wardrobe. What would they like to wear? What were they going to have for lunch? How would they talk about what they do, what you do from this place? And just see if you're kind of surprised by anything. For me, it's very much about playing, like why should this be like oh, this is really embarrassing to talk about how good I am at this and what I do, rather than let's play with this, because at the end of the day, the business one of us, that is a character. Right now, we're in coach mode. We're in kind of business coach modes. It's not who either Anna or I are. It's just one of our characters that we put on and as part of our life and what we do in the world. And we're bloody well good at it, both of us. Yeah, it's true.
Absolutely true. And I've heard about things like I've heard a story about Marilyn Monroe who could walk around and not be recognized and not be noticed, and then she'd say, shall I put on that energy, that kind of celebrity energy, and
Mm.
she just somehow would change, and then people would suddenly recognize her. And it was
Wow.
it was all about a kind of just a way of being, a kind of a persona. And I think when we are, if you are ever stepping onto a stage and speaking, or you're doing one-to-ones and things like that,
Yeah.
it's a kind of a different energy that you're bringing to that. And as you say, it's still us. It's still a part of who we are. It's just one of those parts of who we are. And I think if we can dial into those parts and we can practice those parts. I was practicing just walking around and thinking and being the diva. And I don't know whether I noticed it, if it was a real thing or not, but people would be more likely to kind of step out of my path. Whereas, when you're just kind of walking around and that people seem to expect you to walk out or get out of your path, I was like,
Oh,
right, no,
yeah.
I'm the diva today. And
I
then,
love it.
everyone's moving out of the way. It's great.
Watch that power. I'll make sure it doesn't go to your head too much. No, not at all. Enjoy it. Really
Thing to
enjoy
say
it. It's
about
playful.
No, no, exactly. But I think another thing to say about why this is important, because it is important for us in terms of our business and being able to be that visibility that you were talking about. But when we're confident in our achievements, we're much more likely to be ambitious. We're much more likely to take risks. We're much more likely to
Yeah.
persevere when we hit setbacks. We're much more likely to be confident and motivated and growing and setting future goals. So it's
Mm.
not just about going, oh, yeah, I'm amazing, everyone buy
Yeah.
from me. That's not what we're talking about here so much as it's about you stepping into who you are, what you can bring to the world, attracting the right people to you that you just those soulmate clients, those customers who just can't wait to buy from you again. We need to be able to communicate who we are in order to attract those people to us. And
Yeah.
that's what this is about. And it has that knock on effect. And that's why it's so important. That's why we wanted to talk about this right now in the
Mm.
podcast, because we feel like this is such an important thing that we both feel like we do well on, but we could still do more. Let's put that out there.
Beautiful. I love that. And we want to just, oh, I say we, I'm going to speak on our behalf here of just, we want to,
Yeah.
I don't know, I just want to say how amazing it's been doing this podcast with you, Anna. Loving our conversations. We spoke a little bit about this before, the ideas. It feels very natural coming off as both coaching each other for a while now and the incredible benefits of that. And I just want to really acknowledge that we've filmed a whole, and recorded a whole season of podcasts despite a few little hiccups every now and then. And, we've done it. And that is an incredible achievement. So I really celebrate that. And here's to many more.
Definitely agree. Definitely agree. And I think we need to do a little bit of bragging ourselves. Like,
Mm.
if we're going to model this, are we ready
Okay.
to talk
Yeah,
a little bit about who we are and what we're doing right now? I
go
mean,
for it.
I'd like to just share a bit. I'll start, and then you can come in and do yours as well.
Perfect.
So I am the leader of the Good Girl Rebellion, and that was an interesting thing to take on, because, as you know from before, the business and the name of the business, and when I had the understanding of the Good Girl Rebellion, it suddenly shifted the energy for me of what
Mm,
that was all about. I developed an app that got through the Apple Store and the Play Store, which I can tell you is not an easy thing.
mm,
And that app is designed for the good girls, the good girl rebels who are wanting to clear their psychological blocks and make progress on their business every single work day. But I wanted it to be affordable for people, so that it was a bit of a no-brainer that you could get almost like one-to-one coaching from me, but just in an app format. I have a group sprint program, a 12-week group sprint program, and I'm so excited to be sharing that with my group, who are starting very soon. Actually, the first group is starting very soon. And I adore my one-to-one clients, including Heidi, who is one of my clients and I am one of hers, and seeing how much they have achieved, and grown over the time of working with them, and just even in the period of an hour, how things can change and shift. And it's just, that is my absolute favorite thing, is working one to one, because I really feel like there's so much power in having somebody listening to, responding to, questioning you. For that time, it's just about you. And that's such a big deal. I am writing my book right now, the Good Girl Rebellion book, and announcing it here, first time ever, is coming. I have a publisher for it. It's all happening, and it is super super exciting. And my lovely friend Heidi, aka the creative genius, has also had a lot of great things that she can brag about too. So go for it.
Oh, I'm so moved by you sharing all of that. Just wanting to say, hearing you and receiving all of that. And we will drop all the deets and links um somewhere wherever you're listening to this. The links will be around. So thank you. So yes, I'm Heidi Hinda Chadwick, and I am the creator of, well, I am the creative genius, and I'm also the creator of
Mhm.
the Creative Genius Coaching Map. And this is for all of you creatives, artists, visionaries, rebels, creative entrepreneurs that have that little kind of subversive side to you. You've got this inner sassiness, you carry kind of boundless magic within your bones, in your belly. You might be feeling, there might be a little bit of mischief there. Um, and somewhere maybe along the way that got dialed down, or it got shamed, or you had to swallow down your voice. So much of the work that I do is very much about this reclamation and remembering, and membering in that sense of body remembering.
Mm.
This true voice of who you are and how that wants to come out through whatever it is your craft, your practice, your business, your service, your offering, just in your general day-to-day life. So basically, how can you live a turned on life? So it's very much the work that I do is very creativity heavy, but it's also about embracing what is eros, which is actually just fullness. It's a full presence. Yeah, it contains sensuality, eroticism, pleasure, all that lovely stuff. But it is more about our full embodied experience of everything in our life and building the capacity to live those creative dreams we have and to keep expanding and possibly bearing and holding more. And I do this through a variety of ways, but the main way is, and this is quite a new thing this year, and I'm absolutely loving it, even more than I thought I was going to. And this is actually where all of my programs are now starting to live. And that's in the 8% Club membership, which I have mentioned about the 8% before on here,
Hmm.
just very briefly. I've got a bit of excuse me, uh, autumn nose, like me gran. She used to get a drippy nose. So the 8% Club is for those of you that want to be one of the 8%, which is you don't give up on your creative dreams, even when it gets hard or challenging, or you get stuck, or you get bored or distractive. You wanna you wanna go on that journey and be committed and be accountable for. And it's a wonderful space, credible, very alive, engaged community. As I say, the Creative Genius Coaching Map programs live in there. We do show and tell once a month, people bringing what they're working on. We have creative prescriptions in there, a bit like going to an apothecary for feeling fear, for feeling shy, for artist block, blah, 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 all of those things, as well as group coaching. And oh, it's it's as you were saying, Anna, how people shift so quickly and what people are bringing, and also the community aspect that you're not having to do this on your own. Being creative can be quite a lonely endeavor. So you have a community of like-minded people who get it, get that kind of passion you have, and all the ways that we can trip ourselves up as well. I'm also writing my book, The Creative Genius Coaching Map, a subversive guide to creative living, which is very exciting. And also, I'm a writer, so I write stories, mainly quite macabre, kind of dark, kind of horror-esque, a little bit feminist, subversive, naughty stories. And I'm actually writing a collection of those right now as well. So it's all very exciting. Um, yeah. So if you're interested in the 8% Club, which is the most phenomenal value and a wonderful space, then get in contact. I am open to have a no obligation chat with you about how this might work for you or what's the best way to go about coming on board and working with me if you're interested in a more turned on life. So thank you. Mm.
I love it.
Yes.
And that's a really brilliant place for us to close out our first series of the Full of Ourselves podcast. We will be back with a series two. And in the meantime, we'd absolutely love to hear from you. Any comments, ideas, topics for us to discuss, all welcome. We'd love to hear it. So, yes, but thank you so much, Heidi. What a brilliant series of conversations this has been.
Yeah. Thank you, Anna. I echo all of that. And we'll see you all very, very soon.